Let me take you to a place you already know too well. It's the middle of the night. The house is dark and quiet. You fall into deeper sleep, more restful, more at peace, and then it hits you like a ton of bricks. A deeper, insidious, doubling over twinge seizes your calf, or foot, or back of the leg. Your muscle tightens like a fist, clenching as tightly as possible for as long as it can to sustain. You gasp, you grab your leg, you try to stretch it, stand on it, massage out the iron-hard knot. And for those 30 or 60 seconds, the pain is sharp enough that it makes you cry. And then, slowly, it eases. But now you are wide awake, your heart racing, your legs sore, and you lay in the dark, waiting for the next one to hit. Because there is always a next one. If you know that feeling, those pesky leg cramps at night that wake you from a deep sleep. But here's a dirty little secret. There's a lowly, overlooked fruit you can actually purchase for pennies on the dollar that has nearly 5 times more potassium than a banana. And potassium, as I'll explain, is one of 3 keys to quieting those cramps for good. All this time, most people have been reaching for the wrong food. Hi there, welcome to Stay Sharp After 60s. The only reason this channel exists is for adults over 60 to understand what the science really says about their health, in simple English, without the fear-mongering and without the salesman. What I'm about to tell you about this cramping is something most doctors, in a rushed appointment, don't have time to explain. So here's the promise. So here are the 5 things that take place in your body when you finally get enough of this one mineral. Number 4 shocked even me after 30 years. I'm going to tell you directly what fruit to go for and the simple method of implementing it. Let me show you 3 errors that keep people cramping regardless of what they eat. And at the end, I am going to let you in on the one question that protects you and changes everything when asked to your doctor. Stay with me until the end because point 5 is one that hardly anybody speaks about and stretches way beyond your legs. I would like to start by knowing who I am having this discussion with. Post your city or your country in the comments. I read every comment in its entirety and it helps me visualize this community. All right, let's get into it. However, before I tell you what the fruit is, there exists one idea that I first need to set out. Without it, all of this makes no sense, and I refer to it as the electric body. Here's what I mean. We think of our bodies as a system of pipes and tubes, blood flowing through the arteries, food passing through the hollow pipes that are your intestines. Of course, you don't power your muscles and your nerves with plumbing. They run on electricity. Every time your heart beats, every time you blink and step, there is a small electrical signal that fires. Tell that muscle to move. You are an electrical machine, literally. And what carries that electricity? Minerals. More specifically, an entire team of minerals, electrolytes, and the 2 captains of that team are potassium and magnesium, who work alongside sodium and calcium. They're like spark plugs for your entire body. You have enough of them, balanced right, the signals fire clean, and your muscles contract and relax like they need to. However, when your potassium is running low, an all too common occurrence as we age, the electrical signals become misfiring. The muscle receives a messed up signal. It hears your body not saying, contract, then relax, but instead, contract and contract and contract. And it knots up into that ball of viciousness at 3 a.m. That cramp isn't random. That is an electrical short circuit, and more so than not, your body screaming that its mineral levels are low and it cannot function with the high conductivity wires you have designed into it. That's the electrical body. Keep that in mind because everything we discuss brings us back to that. Now let me paint you a picture that should make this stick. Even if power is applied to all the lights, only one light actually turns on. If each of the bulbs has steady power going to it, then the entire string shines evenly and beautifully. But let the power level drop or fluctuate, and what happens? The lights flicker, some buzz, a few go into a frenzy, burning too bright. Well, that's your muscles on low potassium, flickering, buzzing, seizing. The steady current they rely on has gone wobbly. Screaming at light bulbs doesn't fix flickering lights. You fix the power supply. These minerals also happen to be the power supply for your body. Plug them in, and the entire strand lights up right away. So why are so many older folks struggling? Several reasons. We tend to eat more processed foods overflowing with sodium while under-consuming potassium. With age, the kidneys manage minerals a bit less efficiently. And here's the flip side. Many of the most common medications, especially diuretics, also known as water pills, that millions of older adults take for blood pressure management, wash potassium right out. For instance, it means you could be acting in every possible way that sounds right, and yet you are still slowly depleting the exact mineral your muscles are silently craving. First, let us look at this unknown, unloved fruit. It's the dried apricot. I saw that reaction. The little dried apricot, that ignored, wrinkled, chewy fruit lying in the corner of the grocery store for your entire life. However, allow me to tell you why dried apricots are phenomenal. And this is anything but trivial. Dried apricots have far more potassium than the banana everyone grabs for. A sprinkling dispenses a potent hit of the precise mineral your malfunctioning muscles rely on. And they also provide magnesium, that second in command on the electrolyte team, not to mention some iron and fiber. The banana gets all the fame. Yet those scruffy, creased little apricots leave it in the dust. And isn't it always this way? The banana has been notorious for potassium for decades and stuck in our heads since. Got a cramp? Eat a banana. It's become almost a reflex. But here is the reality. A banana was okay, but never number one. It simply had the best marketing. In the meantime, the dried apricot and a handful of other nice, quiet little foods like it were sitting right there all along, packing many times over that potassium content, and hardly anybody thought to bring it up. That is a common scenario in nutrition. The most famous food is not even the best, but just more popular. One of the things I really try and do on this channel is show you the unsung heroes nobody has done a poster for. So here are 5 things that instantly happen to your body when you finally give it enough of this mineral. Bear with me as they all layer, and the last 2 reach well past your legs. Firstly, those cramps you get during the night start to settle down. This is the one you came for. Those electrical signals start to fire cleanly again when you restore your potassium and magnesium. The contract message mutes down to contract, then relax, and the muscle releases its iron fist in a knot at 2 a.m. Now, I am going to tell you a story about one patient. I'll call her Martha. She arrived to me at the age of 71, exhausted, but not from any medical condition, simply from sleep debt. Leg cramps had been ripping her out of sleep 2 and 3 times a night for more than a year. She was hardly ever on her toes, haze and drained, scared to sleep. She said she started to dread night like a kid dreading the boo-boo in bed, laying there tense and on edge, bracing herself for the pain if and when it came, that very dread preventing her from sleeping even at the times the cramps didn't come. Her world had now become defined by what her legs could not do. Her diet and the medications were discovered. Most certainly, she was taking a water pill for blood pressure, almost totally avoiding potassium-rich foods. We dealt with it cautiously, with the help of her doctor. Yes, dried apricots were added to her everyday routine. A few weeks later, Martha told me that she had slept through the night for the first time in over a year. She cried, telling me, not cause of the cramps. It had been so long that she'd forgotten what a full night's sleep was even like, and getting it back felt like being returned a piece of life she thought she'd lost forever. If you're following along and this is helpful, type 1 in the comments. It indicates to me that you are here, and it allows this message to reach others that lie in bed with the same ache. Second, blood pressure may begin to relax. Here is the link that 99% of people have no idea about. Potassium and sodium work together to regulate a delicate balancing act in your body. Salt, sodium, is a common factor that raises your blood pressure. Potassium works in the reverse way. It promotes the body to excrete sodium and soothes the walls of your blood vessels to bring down the pressure. The problem is, the modern diet does this in reverse. Our diets contain way too much sodium from processed/packaged foods and way too little potassium due to lack of fresh fruits and vegetables. Getting your potassium back, that is restoring some measure of normality, effectively reverses that imbalance on the scale. Which means this unassuming fruit hasn't only been soothing your legs, it's also been gently treating a leading health threat to seniors. Now, I'll add something important here about safety with this very soon, particularly if you are on blood pressure medication, so stay tuned for that part. Envision an old-style balance scale, the kind with the two plates. At the one finish, you have sodium, elevating your blood force. On one side is potassium, dragging it back down. For the bulk of human history, our ancestors consumed mountains of potassium from plants and very little sodium. In other words, that scale tipped merrily to the health-promoting side. However, we have filled the sodium side of the pan with processed food and emptied the potassium side nearly entirely. For tens of millions, the scale has tipped the other way, and they have been told that only a pill bottle will make it right. Potassium from food can help shift that balance back toward where nature intended it to be. It's not the entire answer to blood pressure, but it is a real missing piece. Number 3, your heartbeat steadies. Remember the electrical body? The most powerful electric muscle you have is your heart, so stay on the course. A beautiful electrical rhythm fires 100,000 times a day to keep it beating, and potassium is essential for keeping that rhythm steady and even. If potassium gets too low, that rhythm can become anything but. You may experience skipped beats, flutters, or palpitations. Hundreds of thousands, if not millions of older people experience these weird flutters and get scared, not realizing that an electrolyte imbalance is often involved. Providing your body with consistent and efficient potassium from food helps ensure the clear and stable electrical rhythm of the heart. And this is also precisely why potassium does need to be respected and not overdone. Too little or too much can both mess the heart up. So that safety bit we've got coming up really needs to happen. Fourth, your muscles regain strength and endurance. The shock of the century, even for me after 30 years. We wish potassium only thought of cramps, but it's more. Since any muscle contraction is a result of those electrical signals, low potassium causes not just cramps, but also weakness and fatigue. That feeling where your legs feel heavy and fatigued when you go up the stairs. That feeling that your muscles are simply not as strong as they once were. The kind of tired you can't sleep away. Bone-deep tired. I had a patient, 76-year-old Henry, a retired postman, who told me he no longer enjoyed his daily walks because his legs were like wet sand, in his words. He assumed it was just old age. That's right. He'd been a postman for 40 years, a man who walked miles every working day of his life, and now he couldn't get to the end of his own street without his legs collapsing on him. You got a sense of what it was doing to him, but a man who had identified for himself by his legs, a man who'd branded himself as reliable because he always showed up, was watching that identity fade, and he'd accepted it quietly as an end of sorts. Yet some of his issue was this simple, easily fixable mineral deficiency. With Henry on board, we brought it back. With great care, and his doctor looped in, the wet sand sensation vanished, and Henry began to walk again. He opened at the back end of the block, then 2 blocks. A few months later, he was back to walking his old route, the one he'd delivered mail on for decades, just for fun. I thought I would never walk again, he said. I had just been running on fumes. That's the fourth. Not only does it have less crampy actual strength and endurance return to muscle that were starving without you even knowing about it. You are cleaner all over. This is the one nobody talks about. Wrap it up on 4 still. Almost nobody explains the big picture, and this is it. Potassium isn't a single-purpose mineral. It is present in nearly all of the cells in your body. This allows your nerves to fire, muscles to move, heart to beat, blood pressure balanced, kidneys to work, and body fluid energy management. When their mood is persistently down, as so many older adults remain behind closed doors with little sunlight, it affects more than just the legs. Your power, your spirit, your heartbeat, your blood stress, your nerves, all the pieces that runs round is a bit worse. You're not literally curing a cramp when you finally reintroduce this one mineral. You are improving the total electricity of your entire body system all at once. Now that is the beauty of whole, real foods like dried apricots. They are not one hyper-specialized pill. They push your entire system back towards balance the way nature intended. And that, much more so than any one symptom, is why this matters after 60. If you are still with us and this is providing value to you, comment with a 5. It genuinely helps. And I'll throw in a bonus that most folks never tie to potassium, the hidden benefit. Your bones. When we always hear the words calcium for bones, it is also potassium who quietly plays an important role. Such a diet full of acid-forming processed foods means that your body is forced to draw out minerals from bones in order to restore its chemistry optimally. Foods that are rich in potassium neutralize that, which protects the very bone density strength that keeps you upright and safely on your feet throughout life. In this way, this singular fruit is working silently for your legs in 2 ways at the same time. Both spot-treating cramps in your muscles tonight and bolstering some of the bones that sit underneath them over the years ahead. That's the advantage of whole foods over a targeted single-pill approach. The benefits spread outward in ways you never imagined. Here is another little fact you need to know. Dried apricots can take care of all of this for you in a tiny package that dries out and still makes you feel like you're eating the fruit, except it won't spoil in 3 days. The bag will be in your cupboard for weeks upon a time, ever vigilant. It contains a concentrated amount of the little fruit. A real-world means to efficiently obtain these minerals without having to eat large amounts of fresh produce, possibly too much for an older person who lives alone and does not make it to the store often. Practicality matters. If the healthiest food in the world rots before you can eat it, it does not do you any good. Now, before I deliver you the exact formula of how to use this, I have to stop here and be 100% transparent with you. Potash is no joke, man, and this is a huge part of the video. Please do not skip it. Potassium is an example of a substance that can be just as dangerous if you have too little or too much. In general, increasing dietary potassium through whole foods such as fruits and vegetables is safe and healthy for most individuals. Now, there are some situations that you really need to contact your doctor, and I mean absolutely must. However, because kidney disease or reduced kidney function can stay the body from clearing excess potassium, an excessive amount of can become truly risky. Some blood pressure medicines, especially in the group called ACE inhibitors or ARBs, or a potassium-sparing diuretic, a kind of pill that makes you urinate, can cause potassium to build up in your body, and throwing massive amounts on top could elevate it too high. And if you have a condition of the heart rhythm, potassium more carefully is managed rather than guesswork. So, here is my strong advice. If it applies to you, do not begin chomping down on foods high in potassium or, under no circumstances, potassium supplements without first consulting with your physician. Millennium Image Bank /Getty. Images. You and your doctor will know exactly where you stand potassium-wise with a simple blood test. This is not me being an overly cautious person. This is me preserving your heart. I open the door. That was one particular example, and your doctor guides you through it safely, according to your own body. You need us both. The honest second point, leg cramps can also have other causes, for instance, dehydration, certain medications, problems with blood circulation, nerve pincers. So if your cramps are really bad, very frequent, or associated with swelling, numbness, or changes in your legs, better to have them checked. Don't just assume it's potassium. Now, how this is meant to be used, plus the 3 major mistakes that leave people suffering cramping with any food they eat. The method itself is simple. If you have a bit of dried apricots laying around, enjoy a few, around 4 to 6 each time, once per day, sometime in the afternoon or evening. They are sweet and chewy. The good kind, a blissfully simple little snack. You can just have them on their own, you can chop them up into your breakfast oats or yogurt, or pair with a couple of nuts. That's it. Inexpensive, simple, and so much more potassium than that banana you were reaching for. And here are the 3 common mistakes that keep people stuck. Mistake 1. You forgot magnesium. In short, potassium has a partner, magnesium, and that dynamic duo relaxes your muscles. If your magnesium level is low, repleting potassium alone may not be sufficient in correcting the cramps. And so, rather than imagining your apricots, touch on different magnesium-rich meals: pumpkin seeds, leafy veggies, nuts, beans. The 2 minerals are a team. Second mistake, not bringing water. Your electrolytes are meant to do their work only if you are hydrated correctly. Older adults are often very underhydrated, partly as the sensation of thirst becomes dulled with age. It must be said that you can eat all the apricots in the world, or bananas. If you are dehydrated, your muscles will cramp. So, sip water through the day. It is said that the water in combination with minerals works. The third pitfall is saturating yourself with hidden salt. Remember that sodium-potassium balancing act? However, you are battling your own potassium the whole time that you're flooding your body with sodium from processed foods, salty snacks, canned soups, and deli meats. You back off on the concealed salt, and you let potassium finally prevail. Those 3 mistakes: get your magnesium, drink your water, chop the hidden salt, not to mention giving this skinny little fruit its best chance to finally quiet those legs. Let me take a second for something personal, because I feel you should understand why this one is important to me. For years, leg cramps were something I brushed off like most physicians do, as a minor annoyance not even deserving of discussion. Everybody gets them, I'd think. It's just part of aging. I had to watch patients like Martha, a woman literally broken by exhaustion, by the fear of going to sleep, by a year of robbed slumber over an issue that everyone else agreed was no big deal, before I realized how utterly wrong that was. Tormenting your sleep, your rest, your peace night after night for years is anything but trivial. Realizing that the answer to the decades-long questions was a cheap 50-cent fruit and an easily obtainable mineral all along is no small thing. That's why I'm sitting here. Because out there, someone might be in bed dreading the next cramp, told that there's nothing wrong with them, just that it's age, and to learn to put up with it. And I will not have you convinced of an idea that there may be a real clear answer worth trying without also telling you, you deserve your sleep back, you deserve your rest. So now let me just leave you with this, and then the one question for your doc: that nightly cramping, that wet sand feeling in the legs, that crash your face on the table exhaustion you have been told to just live with, may not be a life sentence after all. They might be your electric body just fucking up and none essentially begging for a paltry handful of minerals with which to clean run each day. And the cure could be simple, inexpensive, and right under your nose. A small, wrinkled mass of apricots you've walked past for years. Now for the one question to ask your doctor, write this down. Can we test my potassium and magnesium levels? Is anything I am taking affecting these? That one question, especially if you take a water pill or a blood pressure medication, can open the whole view and ensure that you do this safely. Any good doctor would welcome it. You are not just getting old. Your body is still firing, still working, still fighting for you with every electrical signal. It just needs the right fuel. Give it that fuel. So begin today with something as simple as what you have in your kitchen, and check in with your doctor. In no time at all, you may have back the one thing those cramps were stealing from you: nights of full, restful sleep. Please subscribe to Stay Sharp After 60. I produce videos like this every week, practical, evidence-based, and brutally honest about how you can grab control of your health for the decades that matter most. And also say hello in the comments. How old are you? And how long have those darn leg cramps been robbing your sleep? Your words could be what somebody needs to read tonight. Take care of yourself. Actually have a good, no, a great night's sleep for once, and I'll catch you in the next one.